I started this painting in the beginning of September 2024. This is the first photo I could find of it. This photo is from October, a couple weeks into working on the piece. It is the first state of the painting I felt was important. I began to feel a real potency from the imagery of the painting. The sailor had a covered mouth and wore a helmet. There were owls' faces in the branch of a Joshua tree, a reference to a trip I had taken to Joshua Tree, California a few months earlier. I hadn't made sense of the imagery as a whole yet, but there were a lot of fractured messages, feelings of being pulled in two directions, forward to the unknown sea and backward to the past in old ideas and beliefs. There was imagery of an abstract form representing a healing organ turning into a pathway like a staircase leading upward towards the back of the sailor's boat. This is a reference to changes I made to my diet back in August of the previous year. I decided to quit drinking alcohol and eat only the healthiest and most nutritious foods and see how it would affect my mind and body. It was interesting to see this element of my life appear in the painting. The sailor stands in his boat, the gates that protect horses behind him. This theme had been coming up in previous works for months, gated areas symbolizing the protection of horses, the horses representing hard work. In these paintings, I was often represented as one of these horses. It was a strong resonating sign for me to see these ideas still active, but moving into a new position within this painting. Outside the gates, you can see horse heads on sticks meant to represent horse monuments that wander through the garden that is the sailor's stomach, a tribute to the hard work of the horses behind the gates. In this next image, the sky and much of the background is erased. I wanted to clarify the sailor's shape and move him forward, removing any distractions or irrelevant ideas from the painting. I also wanted to make space for what might happen next. At this stage, it's worth noting I thought the painting could be done. I gave the painting a couple days rest so I could decide if it still looked done. I decided to move forward and began to add new background elements. He grew new faces, like melting candle wax. The faces looked in many directions, the sailor's original face still the focus, looking forward. The mask he once wore removed, and his expression became more clear and refined. I continued adding small elements to give the piece movement and adjust the colors. I added the candle in the left top corner to note its importance. You can see an image of a mausoleum. It was inspired by a trip I took to New Orleans back in September. In this work, it references the idea that you only live once, so you better do what you want. After I settled all the colors in, I gave the painting a rest and just tried to take it in for what it was in this state. Still unsatisfied, I continued to work at the painting, just trying to bring in different colors, maybe push a certain little element a little bit more forward, give a little more priority to an element, and just, again, try to kind of finish the painting because I felt like all the imagery was there. So I got it to this state, and again, thought maybe I'll give it a couple days and see if it's finished. After 4 months of working on this painting, I feel like this is where things got really crazy. I decided maybe there just wasn't enough room for the sailor's story to be told, so I added more panels to expand the space. The painting went from 4 by 4 feet to 6 by 8 feet. It felt like things got very important really quick, and the real message was only now becoming clear. The giant who grants wishes to horses had appeared. He parted the clouds to make way for the sailor. He also prepared the trade of coins for freedom as he placed them in a step pyramid next to the sea. At this point, it felt like the painting had finally gone from refinement to becoming alive. It was like the painting was reborn, and all the energy that got pulled out during the process of refinement had returned with a new expansion and excitement. At this stage, I really liked the painting again, but I took a short break and something just didn't feel right. Things weren't quite aligned the way I wanted. So I started adding some random silk screens to see if any of that would create interest or a new direction. I mean, basically I didn't feel right about it. So I thought, let's test it. Let's add something new, see if something pulls out or see if I don't like it and need to stay right where I am. So I started cutting up old paintings and thinking maybe I'd use them as collage. I started placing some silk screen faces into the piece to see if that caused any kind of catch or excitement. And immediately it was exciting, and I started pulling out some of the silk screens by blocking out around them with the blue there, and that really got me going. You can see me here. I was so excited I had to write some ideas down on this table. I'm back at it right away. This was like one true to form session, like pretty uninterrupted. I just kind of kept going at it with one idea after the other. This turned into another big session of change. I was all stirred up by the new elements and ideas, so I started to chase them. Feels like I go from creating to following at points like this. I stop having preconceived reasons for doing what I'm doing, and I really begin to react to the piece in a very immediate way. It's as if it's telling me what to do next more than me deciding with some great idea. I really like the blur and broken elements in the piece at this point, so I stopped and took a break to just kind of take it all in and see what I thought of it in this state. When you want the real truth of a painting, you can't rush to finish it. You can't define your path. You don't decide what the painting will be. I find it takes a lot of changing direction. You need to build a habit of looking for more, asking questions, and pushing yourself past that's good enough or could it be finished? I mean, if you're asking that question, do you really think it's finished? All this is what leads to becoming fluid and automatic with your work, synchronizing in a way that the work begins to pull and direct you. I've been building this skill up since I started painting in 1999. For me, getting lost is the best way to shift into the role of really understanding and encouraging a painting to speak to me. I know I don't know from that standpoint, and I know I don't know what's coming next, so I start to ask questions and let feelings guide me rather than concepts. My process is a mix of having an idea and following it, and forcing new ideas into the painting that are unknown. Then I wait to see if a connection is formed between these unknown elements and the ideas I had before. It's those unknown ideas that really make the work meaningful and interesting to me. When I've been creating for a month and the story I've been telling myself suddenly shifts to reveal something I hadn't even thought of, that's like the most exciting for me. In that way, the process feels like illumination.